we're still here, the Union buildings. You can see that the flags have been hoisted here to honor, of course, President Ghali from Western Sahara. As he's coming here in South Africa, there's quite a lot that President Ramaphosa will be looking at with his counterpart from Western Sahara. We do know that this is part and parcel of mobilizing support for self-determination quest for Western Sahara. It's a long-standing issue of the colonization of this country. And of course, I'm just going to bring now Deputy Minister Bottas from the Department of International Relations. So thank you so much indeed, Deputy Minister, for your time. Last night you had a privilege of welcoming President Ghali into South Africa. And I would imagine that obviously there's quite a lot to be discussed by two leaders. Give us a sense of the significance of today's occasion.
Well, Kaya, thank you very much. As you would recognize, Pan-Africanism, it's a key and indelible pillar of South Africa's foreign policy. So the state visit of President Ghali upon the invitation of President Ramaphosa, it's obviously to pivot our Pan-Africanism, what we can do as South Africa to ensure self-determination of the people of Western Sahara becomes a reality in our lifetime. We know that, since 1991, there has been a ceasefire agreement, facilitated by the UN Security Council between the Saharawi Democratic Republic and the Kingdom of Morocco, of which the key tenets of that ceasefire was ultimately to realize a referendum so that the people of Western Sahara themselves could determine their future fate in relation to self-determination. So obviously the conversations would focus on what needs to be done, where we are in relation to our solidarity with the people of Western Sahara, what we can do as an august member of the African Union and as an august member of the United Nations member states in enhancing the capability of the UN Security Council to implement its own resolutions.
Deputy Minister, let's look at the economic relations between South Africa and Western Sahara. We do know that they have got quite a large fishing waters, among other things. But in terms of boosting trade, what will the two leaders discuss around those areas?
Well, I think today primarily will be about the development paradigm. What we can do, for example, as South Africa, because we have 4 memorandums of understandings in place. We have a working agreement also in place. So it would be obviously to make a diagnostic analysis politically on where we are in relation to the servicing of the 4 memorandum of understandings and the 1 working agreement. And obviously put in place some tasks, both for President Ramaphosa and President Ghali, because I think as friends and as member states of the AU, I think we have a equal responsibility to ensure economic diplomacy is pivoted on our political solidarity with the Saharawi Arab Democratic Republic.
And just before I let you go, Deputy Minister, I mean, the ambassador of Western Sahara was talking about Morocco since it was readmitted into the AU fold, and saying that they have not lived up to the expectations since the readmission, but also talking about them violating the constitutive act of the AU. What is South Africa's position with regards to that?
I think our immediate prayer as the South African government is for the resumption of direct negotiations between the Kingdom of Morocco and the Saharawi Arab Democratic Republic, with a very particular purpose, of course, Kaya, to implement the UN Security Council resolution that have, amongst others, advocated for the holding of a referendum so that the people of Western Sahara would be able to self-determine their future destiny. So that is our prayers today to the Moroccan kingdom, and we hope that as an esteemed member of the African Union, they should actually have a corresponding obligation to implement AU and UN Security Council resolutions.
All right, Deputy Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time. So it's going to be a very interesting day between the two countries, as we know that South Africa has been among those countries calling for a self-determination in Western Sahara. And of course, you do have the Moroccans saying that the southernmost part of Western Sahara belongs to them. So this is a very long-standing issue. So it's going to be a very interesting affair. And earlier on, we did speak to the Arts and Culture Minister and Sports and Recreation, Natim Teto, and he alluded to the fact that also issue around heritage, making sure that the sports complexes are fixed. So it's going to be really quite interesting. But we spoke to the Minister. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. All right, so Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time. Let's look at the significance of today. Obviously, arts and culture and sport and recreation as well. We do know that you're quite involved in assisting Western Sahara in terms of the infrastructure, among other things.
Yes, well, the bond between South Africa and Western Sahara goes very deep because Western Sahara, remember, is the last remaining colony being occupied by a neighboring country, which is Morocco. So their struggle for self-determination remains critical for humanity as a whole. For us as government, we have a lot of programs and agreements with them. In the field of sport, arts and culture, for instance, we have been working with them in audiovisual domain of the portfolio. We have the annual film festival between the two countries. We are collaborating in books and press, for instance, and we're looking at new ways of getting into the sport, particularly indigenous games in this country. So it's a very important friendship between the two peoples.
And just before we let you go, Minister, we do know of a very significant role played by arts and culture to galvanize the struggle. You know, look at the anti-apartheid movement, how it's used music, heritage, among other things. Do you think, you know, a similar movement can come out of this struggle, a very long-standing struggle for the people of Western Sahara?
Well, there is a movement already. If you follow what has been happening over a period of time in the country here, the governing party of South Africa with the governing party of Western Sahara, the Polisario Front, have had solidarity programs together with the broader liberation movements here. I know, for instance, the ambassador to South Africa, Western Sahara ambassador to South Africa, who have been together in the trenches when he was still a member of the youth of the Polisario Front, Ujisario, and we were in the ANC Youth League. So the bond starts from the sectors of the women, of youth, of broader liberation movement, because humankind should never forsake and forget the people of Western Sahara.
All right, Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Well, of course, that was Arts, Culture and Sports and Recreation Minister Natim Teto speaking about how South Africa is collaborating with Western Sahara.